I think one of my biggest frustrations with families dealing with fetal alcohol is the lack of services. It's one thing to identify the problem and tell them what they need, and then to have these parents walk out into the system and get no help.
They have wonderful programs for autism. They have wonderful programs for mentally retarded children. They have no programs whatsoever for a child that has fetal alcohol.
It's sad to me that in order to receive some services that may be very beneficial to your child, you have to have county approval or corrections recommending it to a court system before you can access those services, unless you have unlimited dollars in your family, and unfortunately we don't.
We have a lot in the Native community, and the reason why we have a lot of kids that are diagnosed with FASD in the community is because a lot of them are in the system. A lot of them are in foster care or in adoptive care, or they're in the juvenile justice system, and so, you know, they become quote unquote behavioral problems, and, you know, a lot of times it's not, they just can't help it. And, you know, somebody out there is saying, you know, we need to get a diagnosis for these kids. And so we have a high percentage of kids that are being diagnosed, but that's not saying that in, you know, the non-Native community that's not happening. That's not saying that in broader society that we don't have a high percentage.
I don't know what to do. The welfare system won't give us anything. We're not qualified for no kind of food stamp, nothing. So
Even with his evaluation?
Nope. I brought all the paperwork in, and I'm not qualified.
I think, again, it's a matter of them just not knowing about it, not hearing the voices loudly enough, and seeing the families and the parents who are dealing with this, and seeing the kids. I don't think there's anyone in the legislature that wouldn't feel compassionate about the issue if they really understood it.
If they were in a car accident, they had a brain injury, then they would qualify for a lot more services, okay? But because they were born like this, they don't exhibit any physical characteristics. They just figure it's behavioral problems.
Whether it be birth families or adoptive foster care families or relative care families, their support goes away, or they have to continually fight for it, and it is so draining.
He is not even 3 years old, and the system's already working against him. What's going to happen when he's 15? What's going to happen when he's 16? And certainly what's going to happen when he's 18?
Are you concerned about when he's emancipated out of the system? When he turns 18? Did you know about that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Normally when they turn 18.
When they hit 18, they will essentially be expected to make a lot of their own decisions and live on their own. And it's going to be very difficult for my children. Neither one of them really understand money concepts. So I question how they're going to be able to manage paying their rent. As soon as they have any money in their hands, they immediately spend it on anything.
In our workers' opinion, in our opinion, they will not be ready to be emancipated at 18. My best case scenario for those two would be to find a group home with a lot of independent living, someone that could just be there to help them, remind to take the meds. And
my oldest is currently homeless and looking, trying to become a better person, but she's kind of struggling because she was in the system, and when she turned 18, they pretty much cut her off.
It's hard for me to have the dream that he would live on his own. I guess I, at this point, see him having some kind of buddy that he lives with that can be kind of an external brain, helping him with bill paying and just accessing the community safely. Job coaching definitely will be a must with him. I have fantasized about starting my own company and hiring my children. Part of me thinks that might be a good solution, because I know they're just not going to show up at work one day or they're going to get paid and they're going to say, oh, I worked for a week, cool, I got money, and then never come back.
Lots of our kids forget that they can be successful. They kind of get bogged down in the failure cycle and think bad about themselves, so they tend to drop out of a program. So I feel that there could be all sorts of strides for success for kids to live with assistance or even on their own. But the help has to be there. They have to understand their own disability and then seek out programs that help them. But those programs have to exist.
My kids have life plans. You know, we're going to teach them how to cook eggs. We're going to teach them how to make the sandwich. We're going to do this. A lot of life skill planning. My daughter wants to learn to drive, and as she gets older, it's looking more like a reality, but it's still a really scary thing for us to think about, and it's going to be interesting to see if she can access that skill safely.
Well, none of us know how long we have on this earth, and I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I would like to know that at least somebody would care for him if I'm not able to.
Society is so mean to my kids. They're so mean to my kids. And I just want to put this protective bubble around them and say, it's okay. You're okay. And you're going to be good. You're going to be great. Life is going to be great for you. It's not right now. Gosh, I got my third grader going into school and he's suicidal. I mean, last November, you know, what makes an 8-year-old child want to kill himself? You know, how hard is your life as an 8-year-old that you won't want to die?
We decided she'd live with her cousin, and I got a call September 3rd by her acquaintance, boyfriend, drug dealer, predator, that told me my daughter shot herself in the head. He shot my daughter, and Stephanie, this is a story of fetal alcohol, you know, at its worst, truly, I believe. My daughter looked so normal from the day I got her, 2.5 years old, that literally had to fight for any services, fight, beg, plead. I wasn't very successful until my daughter got a second traumatic brain injury where someone could see, visibly see, there's a bullet in my daughter's head, that it's a traumatic brain injury, where now after 16 years she's finally getting services that she should have got from day one.
I think in my heart Dominic won't be able to take care of himself or live on his own unless he's living with somebody else. And right now he's telling me he's going to live with his cousin, which is 6 months older than him. So they have plans on moving out together like my other kids and their cousins did. So if it happens, it happens. But if not, Dominic is always going to be welcome home with me.
Can kids be successful with fetal alcohol? Absolutely. Because it's such it's an array, again, a spectrum of disorder.
The autism groups have done a wonderful job of